Hello, everybody. David here. Welcome. Here we share true stories from real people. Today, starting out with the first story. I'm leaving my boyfriend over a prenup. I, 34F, am breaking up with my boyfriend, 34M, over a prenup. I've been with my boyfriend for about 2 years. Everything has been going well, and we love each other. We discussed marriage, and he said he wouldn't marry me without a prenup. We've gone into detail about this, and I don't like what he's proposing. His family owns a lot of property, land, and has a significant amount of savings. After we get married, he wants me to move into one of the houses his parents own. I told him I'm uncomfortable building a life and a family in a house that I don't own, and he didn't get it. I suggested that we could rent a house together or temporarily stay in one of his parents' houses while we look for a home, but he refused. He said he likes the houses his parents and he already own. He said he wouldn't buy any other property, he wouldn't sell any of his assets to purchase one with me. He told me if I want to own property, I could save money by living in one of these houses and invest in a property on my own. The issue is, he would be entitled to half if we divorced because the purchase would happen after marriage. He told me I could pay rent to his parents if I felt like I didn't belong in the house. He said I could buy half of the house we live in from his parents. The problem is, I don't like the houses he or his parents own. They're also full of their things, and I feel like there's no space for me. I want to look for a home. I want to choose where I live, and I want to do that with my partner. I've made this clear to him multiple times, but he won't budge. He makes more money than I do, and clearly has more assets than I do. He's made it clear that he's afraid I'm a gold digger, and he wants to protect himself and his family's assets from me, which I can understand. The whole situation makes me feel really strange. This topic has come up before, and it always leaves me feeling small. It makes me feel like all he cares about is his assets. It makes me feel like he wants me as long as I fit into the life he's already built and doesn't care about building that life with me. It makes me feel like a gold digger. He has enough money to retire right now and live comfortably. I don't. He's essentially told me that he's made all the money he's going to make, so he's not going to invest much more. He expects whatever money we make and save after marriage to be split equally, which I find upsetting. I'm sure this is normal for some people. I'm sure others would be thrilled to be with someone well off. I'm not. I want someone who's in this with me, building a life together, not someone who's already built a life with his parents and wants me as long as I behave and fit into his life, which is how he's making me feel. So, I'm going to leave him. I welcome opinions on this. But yes, this has bothered me for too long about our relationship. I'm protecting my peace and leaving him with all his houses and money. TLDR, my boyfriend and I are talking about marriage. He and his family are wealthy. He wants me to live in a house I don't own, won't go house hunting with me, and wants half my assets after a prenup. So, I'm leaving. He brought up the prenup talk very early on, and I kept asking him for details, but he would stay vague and assure me we'd deal with it when the time comes. I never asked about his assets, and I never really knew how much his family owned. The only things I knew were from some offhand comments he made about certain properties, if he mentioned this tenant or that one or something they had to fix, etc. I initiated these conversations too. He brought up wanting to live with me and moving toward marriage. I thought the time had come. This is when I invited him to sit down and discuss what he expects from me, what he wants, and clarify the terms of any marriage he wanted to propose. He still tried to dodge my questions. It took me a long time to get this information out of him. I guess I waited 2 years, but the talk of marriage seemed like the right time to push him to discuss it. Update August 10, 2024. A lot has happened. This is a bit of a long story, and I know I'm missing some parts, but I'll try to hit the important ones. I have a stable and respectable career, though I don't make as much money as he does, but I'm very comfortable with what I can afford. My parents always taught me that women should be independent, and I've taken that to heart. I live below my means, which allows me to save and invest. Many comments mentioned that I should take the free rent, and that would help me get ahead in life, but to me, giving up a sense of autonomy and control over my home, my safe space, isn't worth the savings. I lived with my parents and saved aggressively until I was 30, so I'm lucky enough to be able to comfortably pay rent or mortgage on my own. Plus, he was expecting the living situation to be long-term. I'm not moving into a house owned by someone else just to save on rent. Is saving $20 a month nice? Sure. But most people have to pay rent, and I'm no exception. If I really wanted that, I could move back in with my parents. But again, autonomy is important to me. Also, if he's this stubborn about it now, I don't see how that would improve once I've already moved in. I could also contest the prenup and keep all my assets separate, or put in a clause that I get compensated for any kids we have, or say that I'll get alimony or at least a roof over my head if we divorce. But to me, that just seems too transactional. It also makes me feel like I'm about to live with a roommate I sleep with and might have kids with, rather than a partner. I like the idea of us being in this together. He can keep what's his, but I want to build what's ours. Plus, if things are kept completely separate, it opens a whole new can of worms. How would our expenses be divided if I'm working and he's just relaxing? What happens when we have kids? He has savings for them, but would I get a say in how we spend that money? I know these things could be worked out, but this isn't the kind of marriage I want. I can't anticipate everything that will happen, and I don't think I can capture it all in a contract. And it already breaks my heart. I don't want to go through more of that. I'll just say that I feel like my autonomy was stripped away, like I was being boxed in, treated as if I was a hostile outsider. Okay, update. So, I told him I need to end the relationship. I appreciate and really enjoyed our time together, but our financial values and preferred marital lifestyle don't align. It was a quick and easy conversation. I thought the breakup would be a process rather than just something done in one go, because our lives are so intertwined. I've also become close with many of his family members, so throughout this, many of them have been involved, but blah blah. Not too relevant to the updates. Talking to his parents, okay? I love his parents. I had a great relationship with them. I'd go to their house, we'd eat, chat, watch TV, sometimes I'd go to parties they hosted without my ex if he was busy. A few days after the talk with my ex, I went to say goodbye. I didn't know if the prenup was being enforced by his family, so I kept it very general and focused mostly on how I felt about the situation and what I was looking for in a relationship. His parents had this shocked Pikachu look when I told them why I was leaving. I'll emphasize the rest. His parents really want grandkids. However, my ex's brother and Sil don't want children. They were very happy when I came into their lives and found out I wanted kids. His parents built their wealth together, with his father being the primary breadwinner for most of their relationship. His mom was shocked by what he proposed to me and said these aren't the values he was raised with. She's been retired for nearly 15 years, and she said my ex's father never made her feel bad about the differences in their earning potential. They told me they built their wealth for themselves and their children. They said that includes whoever their children choose to share their lives with. They have a lot of property. However, they also have enough investments that they could live off of those. They told me their plan was to gift a house we chose as a wedding present or sell a property and give us the cash so we could buy one we both wanted. As they age, they plan to split their assets between my ex and his brother equally, as they no longer want to manage properties and will live off their investments. My ex's mom said she'd make sure my name was on my ex's share, especially since we were planning on having kids. They said their investments would go directly into funds for their grandkids after they passed away. Maybe this is what my ex was referring to when he said his kids would be set up. Kind of morbid though. His ex's mom told me that the mother of her grandkids would be taken care of, and she wanted us to be equal partners in raising a family. TBH, this conversation lifted a weight off my shoulders. I've always loved his family, and never felt excluded, but the prenup talks left me feeling confused and hurt. What they said aligned with what I knew from my ex and them before. It would be a lie to say I didn't start imagining this life. I talked to my ex again. I'll emphasize this too. He basically told me his father had joked in the past about hoping he and his brother wouldn't end up with gold diggers, and that's where the prenup comment came from. He feels responsible for protecting his parents' assets, as he doesn't feel entitled to them, so broadly speaking, neither should I. In his culture, sons are supposed to carry on the family line, so he feels he must keep his assets in the family lineage, which I'm not a part of, but any sons we have would be. Most of the assets he was concerned about are in his parents' names, and he never asked them what to do. He just did what he thought he should do. He also said he's not that well off, and his assets shouldn't come between us. This is still confusing to me. Isn't this whole thing about him being well off, wanting to hold on to what he has, and not creating a shared lifestyle? I think maybe he means he doesn't actually own much, and most of it is in his parents' names. He feels like he's punching above his weight with me and fears I'll leave him. He's afraid I'm with him for his finances because it's the only thing he has more of, while he says I'm smart, hardworking, beautiful, blah blah. He's anxious about moving forward in the relationship, but instead of communicating, he got defensive. To me, it seems like he's saying and doing everything out of extreme insecurity. He's made a few comments in the past about how I'm better looking than him, or how I work harder than him, etc., but I always took those as compliments, not as self-deprecating remarks. He's a thoughtful, funny, and smart person, completely different from me. Also, I knew he wasn't as confident as he seemed, but I didn't know his insecurities ran this deep. He also apologized several times for making me feel like an outsider to him and his parents, and emphasized that he wants to share his life with me. He said his insecurities and fears got the best of him, and he didn't handle it well. He took advantage of my patience and lashed out because he felt inadequate and scared. My heart breaks because I think all of this could have been avoided. We've gone through this song and dance many times before, where he'll feel something, then act out while he processes it. Up until now, I've always gotten past it and we've moved on. But it's never gone on this long. But I guess the issues we had before were smaller than mapping out our entire lives. I've pushed him to seek individual counseling, and we've gone to couples counseling together, but I can't force him to sit and identify his feelings or use the tools we've been taught. The prenup conversation spanned over a long period. He had plenty of chances to put on the brakes and reflect on what he was saying, and just simply listen to me. But he didn't. Then he sits in front of me and says everything he said before wasn't what he meant. He says he'd be happy to take care of me and our future kids. We can buy a house together or rent if I want, as he's no longer worried about building a life together. Completely contradicting everything he previously said. But how disturbing is it that he seemed completely comfortable and confident in the hurtful things he said before, agreeing to put me in such a deeply unequal position in the relationship, even though I consistently tried to make clear what I wanted and how I felt. He didn't even care about my side for months. I know I have a good deal with what his parents offered, and I know we're great together. But I'm not marrying his parents. I can't have his mother by our side in every argument or life decision we make. Looking back, I could trust on one hand that we had an issue, and he was able to address it without acting out. He's a good guy, but I can't be his emotional dumping ground every time he needs to work through his feelings. It's already drained me. He's a grown, intelligent, and intuitive man. He's had 2 years to learn how to communicate with me, and he hasn't. Honestly, I can't tell what's real from what he's telling me or what's coming from his parents, or his fear of losing me. I could give him the benefit of the doubt again and continue the relationship as I have before, but I'm tired. I thought this was a fixable issue, but I haven't seen any improvement since we started dating. If anything, this dragged-out experience has made me feel worse about everything. I'm not making the mistake of investing in a man for his potential instead of who he truly is. If the past few months are any indication of how he handles stressful situations, then I can only take things as they are and assume they won't change. This whole thing has left a bitter taste in my mouth. I don't need much, but I do expect to be treated with love and support, even when we disagree. I can't forget the emotions and words I've felt and heard over the past few months. I can't unhear and unknow that he fears I'm a gold digger. That's just one of the many comments that really hurt me. I think life has a lot more ups and downs, and I can't imagine what kind of hardship we'll face if this is how we communicate, even after identifying it and working on it in therapy. For these reasons, I'm still choosing to leave. Very different from leaving over a prenup, but leaving nonetheless. And TBH, this is more painful. I know it'll hurt for a while, but I pray I'm sparing myself from future pain and complications. Who knows? If it's meant to be, maybe we'll find our way back. For now, I've told him and his family that I need space and time. I know it seems like I'm giving up a lot, but of course, there are things I can't post here. I actually wrote the above a while ago, but I didn't post it because it felt like things weren't over. But now after this, I know they are. It's been tough in only a few months, but I'm sure I made the right decision. It's hard seeing people pair off and have kids, but it is what it is. I'm proud of leaving, and I'm healing. Thank you everyone for your input and DMs. Sorry I couldn't get back to everyone, but I appreciate all of you.